Ladies and gentlemen, it is such an honor and a pleasure to welcome the consensus greatest mixed martial artist of all time inside the Misfits booth. It's Demetrius Johnson. Mighty Mouse, how are we?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me.
A true pleasure to have you on. Let's kick it off. Now, last night you detailed your thoughts on Jake Paul's performance, but after sleeping on it, what did you make of that first round KO?
you know, um, it's hard. It's a lot to digest because I'm a purist in mixed martial arts. And as I sit here and I go through all the comments on the YouTube channel, I see everybody saying, well, Floyd Mayweather did it, Canelo's done it, Terrence Crawford done it, yada, yada, yada. I feel it's a stigma in boxing that I find so bizarre. In mixed martial arts, I mean, probably 10 to 12 amateur fights ranging from boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai, and then probably 4 jiu-jitsu tournaments, and then probably 10 MMA fights, and then I went pro. And then with that, I felt when I went to my professional fights, I was fighting guys that are actually good, hungry, same age as me. And then when I got my first big shot at the, big stage, I fought Brad Pickett as 3-0 as professional, and he had like I don't know how many professional fights. So for me, it's just something different that I'm seeing. That it's just like, why isn't Jake Paul fighting anybody good? And then as I just got done to sauna and ice barrel, I was sitting there, I was like, you know what the problem is? I feel like he's gone back in competition level. He fought Anderson Silva, he fought Nate Diaz, he fought Tyron Woodley, and then he fought Tommy Fury. He lost that one. Then he fought Andre August, and then he fought Ryan the Rhino. So I felt like he's gone back in competition level to where typically you keep fighting better competition. So, but hey, I'm happy for him. He did a good job. He looked good, and yeah.
I'm curious, in talking about how good he looked, you said that he's got solid distance management and offensive awareness, which we can agree on. I'm curious, what area do you think Jake needs to work on the most after watching that performance?
Well, it's kind of hard because you don't get an actual gauge to see where his skills are at. And that's what I mean by when you do this when you fight, you go in the gym and you learn all the curriculum, you learn content, and then you go out to the world, in his world, professional boxing, and you test it against somebody who's able to put you in the fire so you can test that curriculum. So you go back to the gym and see what you have to work on, because if he goes back to the gym, there's nothing to really work on. I would say maybe when he, shifts his hips a little better, but he's not going to get the opportunity to find what he needs to work on until he gets, into the fire.
Absolutely agree with you. You got to get tested to pull away some lessons. And talking about that next step potentially, who would you like to see? You said it's likely going to be the Indian boxer who showed up to his gym. I got to mention, that's none other than India's most promising boxer in 2008, Naresh Goyat, who competes about 50 pounds lower. We're big Naresh Goyat fans, man.
We're big fans.
But who would you like to see him fight next?
You know what? I'm not that versed in the boxing space. Right. So when it comes to when you want to see who he fights next, I want to have like a legit promoter fight him a fight. Right. Just like in the UFC, One Championship, PFL, whatever it may be, they have a competition team that looks to say, okay, Jake Paul is, 9-1. Okay, let's match up against somebody who's 8-2 or 7-3, somebody who is young and hungry. They make the matches. Right. So I think you need somebody to do that. Because that's what, and once again, I just got off the phone with Aaron Holwani. We talked a long discussion. He goes, dude, it's boxing. It's different. These guys can handpick their opponents. In mixed martial arts, you can do that a little bit, but there comes a point in time to where the matchmaker goes, hey, here's your opponent. Do you accept? Yes or no? You don't? No. Okay, here's the contract extension. Right. So it's a little bit different. So for me, I like to see, I think it's a question for Eddie Hearn. Like, ask him, and I think he'll be able to give us someone who's legit, that he should be fighting to work his way up the ranks.
Yeah, maybe it is Niraj.
Maybe it is. I think it is, because I think he's planting those seeds. Like I said the other day, I am all for people bettering themselves and always trying to win and compete. Like, I don't want to see Jake Paul lose. I want to see him win as many fights as possible. And I want to see him become the best boxer that he can become. But I think when he beats somebody who's 35 years old, he's up in there, he's showboating, goes too easy. I'm like, okay, if it's too easy, let's fucking make it hard. I don't want to play a game that's easy. I want to play a game that's hard. So that's just like my hardcore in me that's coming out when I see somebody who's up there show, but it's like it's just too easy. It's too easy. I'm like, okay, we'll make it hard.
Well,
No,
DJ,
no,
I want
never.
to touch base on something that you said earlier. You're talking about his level of opponent changing. What do you make of his pivot away from the Silvers, the Nate Diaz's? What do you make of this pivot going to these professional boxers?
Well, let's go professional boxers. Okay. I like to know Andre August. I believe he was working, and I'm only getting this information off the internet. Okay. I don't know Andre August. I don't know Ryan the Rhino personally, but last time I checked Rhino, he was working. He left boxing to go work in oil field. Are we correct? Can we all agree on that?
That is correct.
Pipelines and Uber driving.
Pipelines and Uber driving. Okay, we've all can agree on that, right? Okay. And then the athlete before that, Andre August, I believe he was doing pizza routes. Can we all agree on that? That's the last thing I heard.
That's what I'm hearing.
That's what I
Okay.
heard.
So with that being said, now let's go back a little bit more. Okay, let's look at Tyron Woodley. Tyron Woodley, he was in the UFC. He was on a fight losing streak, I believe, and then he left the UFC. And the next fight he took was against Jake Paul. They had a great battle. So at least he fought somebody who was recently active, not in boxing, but at least he was recently active. Anderson Silva, also another athlete who's retired from mixed martial arts. Not really. He's beat a couple guys in boxing. He's beat a very big name in boxing, I believe, in Brazil. I could be wrong. But what I'm getting at is that why isn't Jake Paul fighting somebody who's 28, 27 years old, who's 12-4? That's just active. That's all I'm getting at, right? Like, and I read a couple of comments. People were like, oh, he's doing these fights so he can get more experience. Perfect. I understand that. Do that as an amateur. That's what you do at the amateur. But once again, like I said, I'm just fucking hardcore. That's all it is. Like as a professional athlete who's gone through a long extensive career as an amateur, who's done professional mixed martial arts, who's competed in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tournaments, this is how I see it. And that's how I think, it should be done. But once again, I'm not a boxing enthusiast. I'm not a boxing expert. But as a combat, I don't think I'm a combat expert. I think what he's doing is just, I'm like, oh, I guess another guy. So,
Well, he made
No,
some
and if-
interesting call-outs.
If you don't mind me interrupting, if I could butt in, Ivan, and by the way, I'm DJ's producer, Michael Wansover. But
Mike Wansover, baby.
I have an interesting backstory though. So this Ryan Borland fight's announced, right? So the first thing DJ and I do, naturally, who is this guy? We want to break down his video, see if there's anything interesting that DJ could, is this guy legitimate? So we go and we try to find his video. I actually reach out to Wade, mutual friend of us, Ben, and I reach out to Wade and I'm like, do you see any video out there of Ryan Borland that we can use and we can do a breakdown of? And he's like, dude, I cannot find anything. So I actually reach out to MVP, the promotions, trying to see if they could give me anything. And they're even like, nope, no luck. And it's like, why is Jake Paul fighting this guy if it is 2024 and you cannot find even a grainy, we weren't trying to be picky. It could have been some shitty video that some guy took on his iPhone that was 5 minutes long and maybe DJ could have got something from it. There was nothing out there on this guy. So I think that's if we're getting a boxer who maybe it's not a Nate Diaz or Anderson Silva because this isn't someone who has MMA and built their star power, just give us a boxer who at least has fought the last 2 years consistently, I think is what
not even for. Yes, and not even that. At least a year. Give me somebody who's active, who has the same goals as Jake Paul, right? Like in mixed martial arts, we're all trying to become a world champion. Is that what Ryan's trying to do right now? Was that Ryan's goal? Is his goal to be a world champion in boxing? I'm going to go on a limb and say, no, it's not. His goal is to work in the oil fields, which there's nothing wrong with that, and do Uber driving. There's nothing wrong with that. I just want to see competition fight competition that's at the same level, not someone who's fighting here. And that's the way in boxing, how they do it. Then I don't watch boxing. That's why I don't really watch boxing, because I want to see Gervonta Davis versus Ryan Garcia. We finally got it. I want to see Gervonta Davis versus David Haney. I want to see the best fight the best, but there's so much money and all this that goes convolute. It's same thing with Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury versus Usyk versus Deontay Wilder. I want to see the best fight the best. I want to see Vladimir Klitschko fight the best, right? That's where I'm at in my life as a viewer, who somebody wants to be entertained. I want to see the best fight the best, or competition fight the same as that competition, not competition fight people who don't want to be world champion.
I always
I
find
want to
it
pick
funny
apart.
because sorry, that
Go-
it's like the thing with boxing. Oh, well, look at Canelo's first 10 fights. I'm like, well, that's the fundamental problem with boxing. You know, like, yeah, it's the norm, but that's not how I think it should be. Yeah.
I totally agree with you, but let's use Canelo as an example. Canelo Alvarez had a long amateur career, right? Just like Mike Tyson and Floyd Mayweather. So those two gentlemen, they went to the Olympics. So about time they got into professional boxing, it didn't matter who they fought. They were going to destroy them regardless, right? Like, is the first 10 fights that Floyd Mayweather fought, what were those guys' records? Yeah, we might not know them, right? But he had a long amateur career that put him way ahead of everybody. To where I'm saying Jake Paul is missing that building period, right? Like, that's why I said in the video that when Jake Paul does these fights, these are all amateur fights. I see him as an amateur fight. When he's fighting, the gentleman who, Andre August and Ryan. I'm like, when he fought Tyron Woodley and Anderson Silva and Nate Diaz, those guys aren't the best boxers. Those guys are mixed martial artists. Like, I'm not even a good boxer. I wouldn't even take a boxing fight. If I was to do a boxing fight, I would at least want to get like 5 amateur fights, maybe 6 off screen at like, a local tournament to get my record up. And then when I go pro, then it's okay. Give me who you guys got. But I'm not going to do that. I'm 37. I'm too fucking over that shit.
Well, I do need to bring it back that we're on Misfits Boxing, and Misfits Boxing is owned by the one and only KSI, who is on the same path as Jake Paul, a similar level, you may say. So, given your expertise, I want your breakdown. KSI versus Jake Paul, rumored for this year. Who wins that fight?
So I like KSI. I think he's very good about how he approaches the fight. I think he is one of the athletes who kind of understands rhythm and cadence. I saw KSI and I Show Speed spar. And he was doing a good job of trying to find the angles and hit the body and do some uppercuts and whatnot. If those two were to fight, I think Jake Paul has a size advantage. So I think at the end of the day, it has to be not an 8-round. It's got to be a 12-round fight. Like, these guys, 8 rounds, it's like, I don't know. Like I said, I'm different. I feel like 12-round fight just to see like what's going to happen, because KSI has a type of style where he blitzes in and out, where I think that's going to be a downfall for him, because you got to wear on Jake Paul. But I'm sure if they do fight, you bet your sweet ass I'll be covering it.
Hey, and also, you guys got to do us a favor. Reach out to KSI. Let us use some of his past fights and break them down, because YouTube's
Are you guys
giving
getting
us
struck?
Yeah, we're gonna,
No!
Taylor.
Hey, you know what? We'll get Mams on the horn. We'll let him know. Whitelist the boys.
So
Whitelist you guys.
So that's part of the agreement of this interview. This shit does not get to air. We're gonna do a copyright. We're gonna do a copyright strike. Yeah, we're gonna do a copyright strike on this interview if KSI doesn't let us break down some of his fights.
Mike wants over the hoodwinker. You've absolutely. That's amazing. Okay, talking about Jake Paul inside the ring, I'm curious outside of it. Have you guys been able to meet Jake Paul, DJ?
I have not. No.
Okay. To pivot to his brother, I know you're a big wrestling fan.
Oh,
Does his in-ring? He gets the seal of approval.
Amazing. His brother is amazing. And here's the thing, Jake Paul's amazing too, guys. Like, I'm talking about skill set, what they're trying to improve, and how is he trying to get there. And my viewpoint could be absolutely wrong, but my viewpoint, the way I see it, it's just, I don't think, I'm just not impressed by the route he's taken to become a world champion. Like, he's gonna get to a guy who's gonna be really fucking good, and he's gonna get really destroyed by a true journeyman boxer who's like, yo, dog, I've been in the ring. I'm 30 years old. I'm like 12-8, or no, hopefully not 12-8. I'm like I'm like 17-6, and like, I'm gonna put the fucking beating on you. Like, this is gonna be he's not, like, for me, if I was in a situation, I'm looking for that. Like, when I do jiu-jitsu, I cannot wait till I become a black belt and I go in a tournament and I'm looking for an ass whooping. That's what I'm looking for, because I want to get my ass whooped in a tournament, go back to the gym. I'm like, okay, so he did X, Y, and Z. How can we get better? How can I learn these grips? How can I defend the worm guard? How can I defend the lasso guard? That's what I strive for. That's what I look for. I don't see the same thing in that gentleman.
It might be that risk too, just because the platform. Like I can't afford to take an ass beating on DAZN with these millions of people, which is who knows. The Misfits mandatory question, DJ
Yep.
Mike Wansover. Have you guys tried Prime before? What do you think of it?
Have I tried Prime before? My kids, they don't stop talking about it. Like, Dad, I need Prime. I need Prime. You need water, son. That's what you need. You need to drink water. I like the Prime episode on South Park. You got cred. You got cred. I tried a little bit of it, and it's delicious.
Oh, yeah.
The way DJ said that,
It threw me off.
DJ, could you blink? Yeah, DJ, could you blink if you got paid anything to blink twice if you need any help, DJ? The only time
Go ahead, Michael.
I was gonna say the only time I've had Prime is they have it all over the UFC PI. So if you ever go there and you just like open one of their million fridges, they'll have a bunch of those. So I'm like, why not? Fuck it, I'll just have that instead of water. And no, I mean it's solid.
It's
Prime. Buy Prime.
Yeah.
Buy Prime. The best fucking drink I've ever had. Hey, DJ, we're still looking for sponsors, right? DJ, we got about to get 500,000 YouTube subscribers. So if Prime ever needs another sponsor,
There we go.
Slide it all away. Well,
No,
I'm curious, DJ. Hey.
My
sorry.
kids have tried it, and I've tried it with them, but I'm not a real big fan of sugary drinks like Prime. But my kids love it. But I'm like, you guys can't have that shit. You guys got to drink water. Maybe for a treat you can have Prime, but other than that, that's about as far as it goes.
We'll make sure to cut that out where you say drink water.
Okay, sounds good.
I'm curious. I want your opinions. Obviously, you come from the traditional world of combat sports. What are your thoughts on this crossover boxing event sort of going on now with Misfits Boxing, with the Jake Pauls? What do you make of this whole space?
Honestly, I think it's great. It's very entertaining. I think it gives people another form of entertainment to watch. And I don't see anything wrong with it, right? I think a lot of people, when I give my honest opinion about it, everybody looks at it as me dogging these guys. I think KSI is great at what he does. He has a very good style where he's in and out. He darts. Jake Paul, he's trying to learn. Even Logan Paul, when he was doing it, when he fought Floyd Mayweather, I mean, Salt Poppy, you got Slim. I mean, you have so many guys who've started this stuff, and it's actually entertaining.
Well, it's a popular opinion, obviously, in the traditional world that this damages the reputation of combat sports. What are your thoughts on that?
So I think when you look at the spin on that, first, I think it shines a light on, like we were just talking earlier, like this is what everybody does. Like this is what Floyd, this is what Canelo, this is what all these guys do. They pick their first 10 fights as people who aren't as good as them, and they destroy them, and then they start doing other fights. I think that's the only part that it can destroy it. But as far as like entertainment value wise, I don't think it's going to destroy it. I think, a lot of the guys who are fighting, you could see, like when you watch KSI and Jake Paul fight, you can see that they don't have a long, extensive amateur career, right? It's the truth. Same thing. I mean, Salt Poppy, he actually looks pretty good. Slim, those two, when I saw those two fight, those two actually look like they had some type of knowledge of boxing, how they're moving, angle, trying to throw the right hand, 4-punch combinations. But you can see it. Like I said, I'm a professional athlete. I've had a long amateur career. I can look at someone and says, yeah, that guy hasn't had an amateur career yet.
Absolutely, I agree. Well, I do need to ask, is it something you'd be interested in doing, possibly jumping in that Misfits Boxing ring?
No, because I kick and punch and I throw and I grapple.
well, that transitions into my next question. We do actually have something called Misfits MMA coming up. So is that something we could actually slide you into?
No. I'm on a contract with one championship, and
DJ would kill everybody, man. Who the fuck will you put him against?
Yeah, that would not fare well. And for me, like I said, I'm always a big fan of people always trying to better themselves, and other organizations trying to give athletes an opportunity to test their passion and do it on a big platform. But for me to, I fought at the highest highs of North America and Asia. I think for me to jump on, a misfit would have to be, it just wouldn't be right.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
we'll make sure to give you a nice paycheck, and hopefully we can.
Yeah,
let
the
that
bag.
happen.
What if it was Floyd Mayweather, Misfits MMA DJ?
You never know.
Oh
You
yeah,
never
well
know.
that's different. That's Floyd Mayweather. Like absolutely, I would do that because that's a big name and it's a great opportunity. Like if I got the opportunity to like even box Floyd Mayweather, like I would probably take 6 months and just work boxing. Like I wouldn't take it
Yeah.
right now. I'm like I need a year because I want when I go in and step in there, I want to be fucking perfect. Like yeah.
Well, the best
Well,
we
when
could do
you're-
is Ryan Barrowland, unfortunately. No. Hey, I am curious though because DJ, you mentioned Slim, the Salt Poppies. Who has impressed you the most in this crossover boxing space?
I think Slim and Salt Poppy, to be honest with you. Salt Poppy, the body transformation that he went through to get to where he was when he fought Slim, absolutely amazing. Talk about the dedication, the discipline. Those two, when they fought, it was an absolute banger. I enjoyed it. I would say probably Salt Poppy.
Fair. And let's say you're in charge of Misfits Boxing. You're Mams Taylor. What would you do with the brand? What would you do next?
Keep on making exciting matches, right? I think that's what you do. You just keep looking for good talent, make it exciting matches, and keep on, listening to the community. I think when you listen to your audience, that goes a long way. And that's one of the things that we try to do, me and Michael Wansover, when it comes to our YouTube channels. We try to listen to the audience, the community, and give them what they want.
I'm curious. Once over, what would you do if you were in charge of Misfits?
No, and I think something DJ forgot to mention that we talk about a lot. If you look at Dylan Dennis versus Logan Paul, right? That fight, I mean, it didn't necessarily deliver, but the story was one of the most interesting of any UFC fight, of any boxing fight that we've had in recent years. Like I might sound crazy, but it was a lot of fun following that story every day, every week. It really did help even the growth of our YouTube because people were just loving just hearing about the stupid shit that Dylan Dennis was doing and thinking of what this fight might look like. So I think that is something that Misfits Boxing does really well, and not just saying it because we're doing this interview, but they have these stories where do you really care if it's just two guys in there you don't know what they're fighting for, or you can have two guys in there where one guy's tweeting about his wife and all the men, which of course he probably did cross the line, but it makes you be like, shit, he's gonna fucking fight him. This is the fight game, right? This isn't an NBA player doing it to another NBA player and then they just try to defend them and cross them over or something. This is two guys getting in there and fighting. So I think something DJ really likes, because at first it's like we have Demetrius Johnson breaking down Dylan Dennis versus Logan Paul. This feels a little bit weird, but he was really getting into the storytelling aspect of it, and like, shit, people really want to see this fight happen. They want to see who's going to get their ass kicked, which figured no one got their ass kicked, which kind of sucked, but
yeah.
Preach.
If Dylan Dennis is, if he's good for anything, I guess it's building up a fight, maybe not actually having a good one. But I'm curious.
No,
DJ,
but I was gonna say, DJ, did you want to follow up on that though and kind of say how you
I think
with the storytelling that you like?
Yeah. I think when I've been in this sport for so long in mixed martial arts and following so many different things, and now with the YouTube space, that was probably, like Michael said, probably one of the best stories. So if you, like I said, if Misfits could find the right talent, make the right matches, tell the right stories, then I think it would just keep on elevating the organization.
I love it. I want to transition further to you because obviously you revealed last night some breaking news, signing up to compete later this month at Pan Am's IBJJF Championships, the brown belt division. What are you expecting?
Oh, man. You know what? I don't know, to be honest with you. I've been in the gym working on my jiu-jitsu, been working on my judo. And you never know, because when you go to these tournaments, you can't scout somebody's skill set. You can't look up I don't look up their stuff or what they're going to do. And the way I equate, from my experience in IBJJF competing in the gi, is that you have so many matches that are 6 minutes long that you have to figure out what that person's trying to do, what's their game, while I'm trying to oppose your game. So I'm super excited about it. It's another step in trying to gain my black belt.
Yeah. You and Henry Cejudo are heralded as some of the most intellectual fighters of all time. I was just curious, can you break down how your philosophy towards competition itself has evolved over the course of your career?
Ooh, the philosophy of competition. Honestly, It's kind of hard to say because for me, it's how I approach anything. I just try to look at everything, answer all the questions that I don't understand, and ask a lot of questions. Right? I think when I was younger in my mixed martial arts career, I would just go out there and fight, and that'll be it. Now I sit down and I try to look at it as like a scientist, where it's like, okay, well, he's got to cross the distance, he's got to cross the void. How am I going to cross the void? How is he going to cross the void? And just managing that aspect opens up a lot of things when you approach the fight. So for me, it's always about looking at it underneath the petri dish.
Mm. And I want to, we talked about the mixed rule sets earlier. I want to dig into that Rod Tang matchup. You finished him in the second round. What type of nerves did you have heading into that? Were they similar to the feelings of an MMA fight, or due to the rule set, was your mentality changed at all?
Man, the last time I ever got nervous for a fight was so long ago. Like I was like, so when I did the IBJJF, I was super nervous. I was sweating. I was nervous. I had those old butterfly feelings about to compete. And my coach goes, dude, you're nervous as fuck right now. I was like, I am. He goes, you weren't even this nervous when you fought Rod Tang. And I was like, yeah, because fighting's easy. You go out there and you just move your head and duck down, da 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 da. So for me, when I fought Rod Tang, it was just another fight. I've been fighting since I was 18 years old. So now I don't get the same feeling when I fight. But when I do jiu-jitsu, I get like, it's like that butterflies all over again.
I love it. I love it. Now, the last couple sections of the interview, we've got some predictions, rankings, and then a quick fire round. So UFC 299 is obviously coming up. I'm just curious, O'Malley versus Chito Vera. How do you see it going?
It's gonna be very interesting. We're dropping the breakdown of those fights soon. When is this airing? I don't want to date it. Michael's
This is coming out Tuesday the 5th.
Oh, okay. So we ordered. Okay, so yeah. So
You better not be spoiling that fucking prediction.
I'm gonna tell him to come to the channel, Michael.
Just root to
Copy. Okay, so 3, 2, 1. So yeah,
all of a sudden the interview just blacks out and like, what just happened?
Yeah.
Sorry,
It's a
sorry,
glitch,
yeah, it's a glitch.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, Sugar Sean O'Malley taking on Chito Vera. It's gonna be an exciting fight. We broke down these guys' fights on a YouTube channel, and you know what? It's gonna be a good fight. Obviously we'll be dropping our final predictions on the YouTube channel, so make sure you guys go check that out. It's gonna be an exciting fight, man. I can't wait to watch it.
I love it. We'll make sure to get all those predictions on the mighty YouTube channel. We'll link it in the description. BL, I know you've got some Misfits rankings.
Yeah, so we're going to do something called blind rankings. I'm going to give you 5 names, and I need you to rank them, rank them to the name I give you, if that makes sense. You don't know who's coming next, so I might give you a stinker name, and you put them at first if you rank this wrong. So I'm going to give you some names, and you go from there, if that sounds good.
Yeah, sounds good. I'll do my best.
Ben, if you jot this down somewhere, because I'm really interested how it's going to pan
put
out.
it in the chat.
We'll just let Ben set up quickly, and then we'll go. All good? So the first name I'm going to give you, Salt Pappy.
I'm going to give him first.
First. Second name, Tommy Fury.
Oh, I'll give him fourth.
Fourth, okay. KSI, third name.
I'll probably give him second.
Fourth name, Jake Paul.
I'll give him a third.
And the last name, Deji.
That's KSI, right?
Deji's his younger brother.
Oh, I haven't seen him fight, so I have to give him 5.
You know what? It was not a bad.
Not a bad ranking.
Not a bad list at all.
Big ups to Salt Poppy, dude.
Yeah, like I said, when I watched Sal Poppy, I was like, okay, he knows what he's doing. Tommy Fury, I think for the long line of family he's come from, you can tell that he hasn't had a long amateur career. Like you could tell he wasn't like as passionate about boxing as his older brother was or his family was. That could be, I just don't see the pop, 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 pop. Like I don't see that range and that distance, like actually drawn in the opponent. It just seems like it skipped that child. And then that's what I see. And then I haven't seen KSI's brother fight, Jake Paul. I think he's right where he needs, and I think KSI, he's pretty good too. So I think I feel comfortable with that ranking.
I love it. All right, last section here. Some quick fire questions, easy ones. DJ, go-to video game after a hard day of training.
Street Fighter 6.
Who's been the hardest opponent that you've faced?
Oh, probably Dominic Cruz.
Favorite location you've competed in?
Vegas.
God, I love Sin City. Now, Tyson Fury or Usyk?
Ooh. Mm. You know what? I'm gonna go with Usyk. I think Usyk moves way better than Tyson Fury does, and he's fought some very, very, very good opponents. Not saying Tyson Fury has it, but Usyk moves like a Lomachenko, so it's gonna be a very, very good fight.
I better see that breakdown on the Mighty channel. Now, how would you describe Demetrius Johnson in one sentence?
Humbled.
Humbled. If you could have any dream fight against any opponent, past or present, who would you select?
Oh, I'll probably select GSP. I think GSP, he was very athletic, very good at what he did. Big fan of his and loved how, he navigated his career.
Another one of those goats. What's your personal favorite moment of your career?
Um, Honestly, probably going home to my family. Like,
Yeah.
I never forget winning. I'm like, all right, guys, I gotta go home. I gotta go take care of the wife. I got pressure wash the fence. Like for me, fighting was always a job. So it was always going home to the family.
For sure. What inspires you to get into combat sports when you were younger?
Ooh. Honestly, it was almost, I don't know, to be honest with you. For me, it was almost an evolution of my passion of just learning how to fight. And then to test the curriculum, it kind of led down that path. Like when I jumped into mixed martial arts, I didn't care about being a world champion. It wasn't even an option because the lowest weight class was 155. And then they got rid of that weight class and went to 170. So for me, that wasn't an option. So for me, it was just learning how to fight. And then it just took me down that road.
Naturally occurred. Fair. And lastly, what would you say to a 10-year-old Demetrius Johnson right now?
Dog, buy that motherfucking Apple stock the first chance you get.
That's amazing. Demetrius Johnson, thank you so much for the time. We truly appreciate the insights and thoughts. Mike Wansover, as always, thank you, brother. And we hope to see you guys soon.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you guys.